Alright guys, so we have a challenge from Ed, rated 883, and this is a 0-16 game for me, and he's playing the London. So, now I've got a pawn in the centre, I think I will proceed. How far should we proceed? I'm going to bring my knight out. Might do go for this King's Indian setup, seems to work okay against the London. This bishop is now trapped outside of its own pawn structure. Okay, this is a 15 plus 10, so we have an increment. I do recommend that everyone should play with an increment. Very often I don't, but it makes you win the game. Makes you have to win. Alright, let's just play the bishop to there. This is all normal. He's probably going to play this. One of these moves. So my idea... Now, I just noticed I've already pushed d5, so this knight can come into here. That's where it's going to want to go. If I get my knight to there first, then my bishop's covering that square. Okay, there we go. Let's castle. Haven't had my coffee yet today, I've only had a cup of tea, so I have to watch myself. Tread carefully. Okay, so completely normal London system setup. This knight will probably come here now, almost certainly will. So, my idea, I've got two pawn breaks. I've got c5, I've got e5. c5 is the easiest. This one is currently attacked 1, 2, 3 times, and I have no defenders at all. So I want to get this in. Should I play b6 first to prepare it? Or I could play knight d7 and prepare it so that if pawn takes, I've got knight takes. Puts my knight on quite a good square. I think it just makes sense to get my bishop out, pin this knight. Looks like a natural kind of destination for my bishop. Can't go here because of the pawn. Could maybe go there, but then if bishop takes, I have to recapture with the pawn that's in front of my king. I don't want to do that. So that also is a bit stuck because he's stuck between pawns. So natural square for the bishop. Okay, knights come out. All very normal moves. Let's bring, I think this knight to here now looks good. And I'm going to go for the c5 attack against the London. Very common move. Try and get rid of his advanced pawn. He probably won't take. He'd rather I capture and then he recapture with his c-pawn, keeping a pawn on d4. That's just taken one piece away from this square. But that's not the critical square. e5 is the critical square. I can take out the knight and then challenge for e5. I could put my rook on here and then challenge. So now I've got, I'd have knight and rook on that square. If I go there, takes, knight takes, then I can get my knight into e4. Quite like that. Let's go for that. If you're a London player, you should always be ready for what do I do in case of c5. Okay, so he's coming after my bishop. Now this here now has 3 attackers. Bishop, queen and knight, right? So I'm going, even if I capture this knight, if I capture the knight and he takes the bishop, I take. If I capture the knight, he takes back, I'm going to either have to retreat this bishop or swap it off. What I can't do is just sit here, because if he takes the bishop, I recapture with the knight, he takes with the queen, right? So I lose a piece in that way. But this works, I think. Knight takes, let's say bishop takes. This is okay. Now if bishop takes, I have two defenders, you see. But if he takes if he takes with the pawn, that's going to be unpleasant. Then I'll have to swap off bishops, and then I'll have to move my knight, but my knight goes in here, which is not too bad. It's a nice destination. Okay, so now I've got two attackers on this piece and only one defender, and it's a defender that he can take out. So I'm either going to have to move it or trade it. If I capture, queen will recapture. Doing nothing is not an option here. Kind of inclined just to bring it back here though. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Got nice control over this square now. This pawn is actually hanging. So I've got ideas of bringing my queen out to here or here. Could attack this pawn. So he's got a dark squared pawn structure now. He's got one bishop outside of the pawn structure, and he's got one bishop that can move all around. I'm in a similar position with both bishops on the board. Now, I'm going to take on c4, simply because my pawn was hanging. Try and open things up a bit. I imagine he's going to recapture with the c pawn. Ah, bishop. Interesting. Now, this is what I really want to play, but first I need to centralise my rook to support the pawn, I think. Now e5 would be very, very handy. Grab that central control. See, what he's done by recapturing with the bishop here, he's now only got one pawn in the central two files. So I want to take advantage of that now. Really make life difficult for his bishop as well. Actually, b6 threatens to trap the bishop after e5. If I play e5 now, let's say it was my turn, he's got this. And then if I play that, he's got that or that, you see, so his bishop's got options. So I might play b6 next and see if he spots the fact that he's almost trapped his bishop. Really have to focus here, I don't want to lose 16 rating points. That's a crafty customer. Kind of a cagey player, I think. Okay, so is he planning g4 with that? I don't know. Right, Ed, this is the threat, mate. Have you seen it? Kinda. But if I threaten to take out the knight, bishop recaptures, then e5, and he's in, this bishop will fall. So he's guarding this square, so that if I was to have pushed that there, he can just capture with the knight, defended by the bishop, or capture with the bishop. Huh. Okay, let's rinse and repeat, I think. You take my knight, I take knight back. I'm not sure about that. I don't just want to swap off lots of pieces, because then it just simplifies the game, yeah? Can't go there, really. Ugh. If I put my knight here, we might just have two trades. I want to win this bishop outright. I don't want to trade it off. Going to move my knight to... No, I'm not. If I go there, he's got bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Ew, not good. Okay, right, knight here it is. He's got to do something because I'm now threatening the knight twice. I think he's going to take. I'll probably recapture with the queen. I will recapture with the queen. I don't want to take his bishop. If he takes and I take his bishop, it kind of invites his queen to come in. Or to capture with the c-pawn. Yeah, both of which I think strengthen his position. So I don't really want to do that. So if he takes my knight, I recapture with the queen. Then he may... Alright, and this is the trap. No, he's still got... Hang on. No, look, because I've got... If I move my pawn there, I've got 1, 2, 3. So now I think e5 should win material. Knight takes, I'll just take his knight. Okay. Finally, we get the move in, the bishop trap. Trapped. See, this trap has actually been 5 moves or something in the making. Yeah, he sent me a message saying, I'm feeling pretty good so far, and absolutely right, he was playing very well. And then now he just said that feeling just dissipated. Okay, well I can trade my bishop off if I want to, or I can just move it out of the way. I'm not going to take and allow him to capture my bishop. I could trade it for a knight, but I like that bishop. If I come here, he might just push again. Then I have to move, and then he might escape, you see, because moving this pawn would be an escape. So I'm going to trade it off. Queen takes or bishop takes, doesn't matter, I'm going to have this guy. And that opens up my rook, which is nice. The best laid plans of mice and men. Okay, so what's the deal? Let's review. I kind of like the fact that he's just pushed his pawn, because it opens up lines, and I still have a dark squared bishop, you see. So, the situation is 7 pawns, I have an extra knight. I also have a rook on semi-open file. I need to activate this guy, and this guy needs to get in. What? Okay. I'm just going to trade off pawns. Not even going to think about that. Might capture this one then. Yeah, why not? So if he takes as well, I've got bishop takes. Which would be good. Yeah, I definitely want to improve my knight. I think my knight kind of belongs there. blocking the pawn's progress. Yeah, this was an unusual one. This move. Don't know why he doesn't just straight up capture with the c-pawn. Win a pawn. And block off the diagonal for my bishop. But this, he's just uncovered another dark square, you see, which is one more feather in this guy's cap. Allows me to take. Is he going to take with the pawn? Will my bishop come out? Don't know. I mean, I can take and threaten the rook. Then the rook's going to come to here. I might put my knight here and threaten his bishop. I quite like that, actually. I like that move. I'm not too concerned about this random pawn. It's isolated as well. He's actually got 3 isolated pawns now on the queen side. Yeah, this guy's actually pinned against the rook, so I'm not too concerned about that. So here the bishop's kind of pinned. If it moves, I can trade queens. And then propose a trade of rooks. So now I'm the one with the where simplification is the threat. Pawn structure decimated, yeah. Had to dismantle in London. Yeah, his pawns are in a sorry state. So this is hanging. That's undefended, and under attack. Okay, he's now attacking my rook. I'm going to take the opportunity to trade off. Why not? Now, which one are you going to take? He's got a choice of 2. He's taken that one, so I'm going to trade that one. Simple. Now I'm going to win a pawn. And I'm also attacking that pawn. Notice he's playing quicker now. 5 seconds, 1 second. So we have an opposite coloured bishop's ending. Key now is to activate kingy. So I'm going to be moving mainly on the... This week I will mostly be stepping on dark squares. Because he's got a light squared bishop, I have a dark squared bishop. This pawn can't move, because bishop takes. Pawn is currently protected by the bishop. But if I can get my king up here... Now he can't push that. Well, he can. No, he can. If he pushes that, he stops my king coming out. So maybe my king should have gone this way instead. But hey ho. Alright, let's come in. Always looking for forks as well here, of course. Everybody likes a fork. Okay, so I can now play my bishop to here, defended by the king, shoo this guy away, but he's going to go to here. I mean, it's not a bad square. He's defending 2 pawns here. He's kind of tying his position together. Yes, he's attacking this. So if I go there, takes. This is all good. I've got 5 pawns against his 4, and his are split up. I'll pre-move the recapture because it's a no-brainer. The king is now tied to the defense of this pawn as well. If the king should step away, I've got knight takes. Right, what are you going to do? Are you going to capture with that pawn? You can't, because I grab your bishop. Haha. So now I've got 1, 2, 3 attackers on this pawn here, and there's nothing he can do. He can't take. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. It's all gone horribly wrong. It says good game, yep. It was very much in the balance until I managed to execute that bishop trap. He's looking for the resign button. Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Ed. Good game. Yeah. So let's. Very good. I'll say well done. Well played. Okay, so let's go through this again and looking particularly at that trap and how long it took to build. See, one of the advantages of playing the London system as a beginner is your first 10 or so moves are pretty standard, and here Ed plays the standard London system. Accelerated London, bringing the bishop out before the knight. Okay. Now, the downside of playing that is that you always play the same move, so your opponent really knows what to expect. Okay, so all standard. Move 6, move 7 standard. Here I move my knight in to kind of the idea of going for this. Bishop retreats was a slightly odd move. I mean, it breaks the general principle of don't move the same piece twice in the opening. The knight is pinned, yeah, against the queen, but it's defended twice, 3 times. So it's not an immediate threat. I don't think that blocking the pin was critical at this point. I'd probably have just gone ahead and castled then. Okay, so now I play the c5 break, and now his knight comes in, which is a bit pesky. And we trade, and I decide to keep my light squared bishop. So where's the bishop trap? Not yet, eh? Okay, so this is the situation where he's got these pawns on the dark squares. How long have they been? They've been in there forever. So recapturing with the bishop is interesting because he's put the bishop at the head, now the tip of this dark squared pawn chain, right? But what that means is that there's no retreat that way, no retreat that way. So all I need to do is attack the bishop with my pawn and cover the one remaining diagonal, okay, which I can do with b6. So now I move my rook across, h3 is played, and now b6, and this is the clue. This is what my opponent should have said, well, why has he played that move? Yeah. What's changed? Well, the pawn is now attacking that, covering that square and that square, okay? And then he should think, well, how many squares does my bishop have? Only 1. What if my opponent plays e5? Oh no, my bishop is trapped. Now we have some messing around, right? So this move starts on move 13, okay? The trap starts on move 13. A knight comes in, and I propose a trade of knights. Now he could have saved this bishop very easily here by like capture the knight, I recapture, capture bishop, or any which way it can go around. Now the knight moves away, and now the trap is sprung. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 4 moves. Just patience required. Interesting this, I mean, why move the knight to here and then move it back again? I struggle to see the purpose of this move in a way. It was an annoying move, but when I now have a double attack on the knight, so I think actually as the weaker player, yeah, I really didn't want a big exchange of material, but I think it would benefit the weaker player more to simplify the game. I've had very annoying games where I've been playing somebody several hundred points lower rated and they just swap everything off because I allow them to do that. And then you get down to an ending and it's just 50-50. Right? It's a toss of a coin really, who wins in the ending. So, knight comes back, bishop's trapped. This is important, because if I tried to retreat here, so let's play this, right? Try and retreat. Ah, I come after your bishop again. No, you're not. And then this guy's got an escape. That was the key. So I had to, when this was played, I had to initiate the exchange, and then I win the bishop, right? So basic calculation. Now here, I've just taken his bishop. What he should have done is recapture with the c-pawn. And then he's got a 2 and a 5. Okay. What he did was push that. And then I take. And he recaptures with a pawn. So now he's just given himself an isolated pawn. Now I take that and he's given himself an isolated pawn, right? 1, 2, 3 isolated pawns and a 2. Now this was an error, right? Because look, he could have simply done this. So instead of 3 isolated pawns and 2 round his king, he's got 2 on the queen side and a 5. So this is a far more solid pawn structure. Then what he should do is think about getting his pawns onto dark squares, right? To shut this guy out of the game. Right? Get all your pawns on dark squares. Something like this, right? Move the king up behind them and use his queen. So his advantage actually is that he's got actually better pawns, and he's got more pawns at this point. He's got 7 against 6, right? So, and I have an isolated pawn on the d file. So what he needs to be doing at this point is thinking, solidifying the game, right? Get the pawns on dark squares here, shut the bishop out of the game, right? So then it doesn't matter, and then his bishop has got the freedom of the city. His bishop can move wherever it wants. Then definitely think about occupying the open file. Lift the rook, double up your rooks. It wasn't a losing situation at this point, I don't think. Let's have a quick look at the game report. Okay, 71 accuracy from Ed. 2 mistakes. I made 1 mistake with 79. You can see where it suddenly changed. He was doing very, very well. Plus 1.6 at one point. Interesting. Okay, it was saying bring your bishop out. Fair enough. But this is the game I'm playing. Oh, it wanted me to push c5 earlier. And again. And it just really wants me to play c5. It says this was a good move, but kicking the bishop was preferable. And now I play c5 and it says it's the wrong move. It says, no, you should have played knight to h5 now. Okay, it says that's okay. That's okay. Well, the computer wanted me to trade bishops. Still wanted me to trade bishops. So for some reason, it didn't like this. Why didn't it like that? Because of d takes c5 and b6. Don't know. Well, I wanted to keep my bishop anyway. Castling is an inaccuracy. Should have taken the free pawn. I take the pawn. Bishop takes. Now putting itself in a slightly precarious situation, and you always have to be careful with bishops because they can only move on one colour, only move on these diagonals. You have to count squares. How many squares have I got? Okay, now it's much more balanced. That's an inaccuracy. That's an inaccuracy. Said I should have gone for e5, but you don't know what I was planning something. Stockfish. Okay, knight to here. Now the knight you see is guarding this square, so I couldn't just throw my pawn up. So I try and take out the knight. Knight goes there. Knight retreats, and that's a boo-boo, because now the trap is sprung. Yes, bishop takes d3 is best. Now I'm plus 4.8. All good. Yeah, e4 is a mistake. It's absolutely a mistake. I can't explain it. E takes d4 is best. So the computer's actually saying that he should have recaptured with the e pawn, giving himself a 4 here and a 3 here. But that's okay. Let's have a look at c takes. So no, that makes it worse. That's a mistake. Rook takes e3. Oh yeah, because his pawn's hanging. Right, okay, that's why that move was better. Okay, this was a mistake, plus 7 now. So he's walked into this and decimated his own pawns. Yeah. Knight there is good. But now he just, now I just simplify. And here he really needed to keep a rook on the board. So I think that yeah, in fact, well, he can't. That's the problem. Because after this, with this move, I can now force a trade of rooks, right, by capturing. But here, he's lost both of his rooks. So now he's in a situation where he has no pieces on the board. He only has a king. Oh, he's got a bishop. Right, but the bishop is limited to only the light squares. I have a knight that can visit every square on the board if given enough time. And it's all going to go wrong. Okay. Likes that move, that's good. Takes. And now it's all over after this exchange, because the pawn can't recapture because pawn's the only defender of the bishop. And I'm about to capture with maybe pawn. Yeah, probably pawn, something like that. But interesting game. So shows you one way to play against the London system. We get the London system a lot at lower levels, below 1,000, but it is a decent opening. It's played all the way through. If you find yourself facing it, if you find it annoying, then I think remembering this c5 push, you see how often the computer here is wanting me to play this c5 move and attack the tip of the pyramid and just start to dismantle White's position. Wanted me to play that a lot. This is a move. Do not forget this move. Right? Even if it's undefended and the pawn just captures for free, you can do that. Here I think I played b6. No, I didn't. Yeah, I played the move straight away. He could have actually captured there. But the computer just doesn't even want him to. The computer says that's not a great idea. But it was defended by the knight. So there you go. There's a little guide in playing against the London system, or against a sub 1000 playing the London system. Very interesting game. Was very much in the balance, and I'm glad that I was able to launch my bishop trap in the end. So very satisfying. Ed, thanks for the game, and I'll see you all soon.